No, I'm recording.
This fall, I've been exploring the UU values that have been included in the draft shared by UUA's Article 2 Study Commission, and that will be presented to the UUA this coming January, to the board, to the UUA board in January. Of course, by now they've seen it, but it'll be formally presented to the board in January. Before I share more about the final and central value of love, I'd like to summarize and share a little about the commission and the work they have done and read with you the entire Article 2 draft. I think it's important that our congregations be informed of all the work going on and not be surprised to see these changes without a deeper understanding. Actually, I was surprised at our ministerial gathering at the mountain as we talked about this together, that most of the ministers there were delaying any conversation or presentation about these. I hope this review isn't a little too boring for you, because I have been sharing a little about it, but I think it's good maybe to go ahead and look and see what they finally come up with. It's information that you need to know as part of the larger Unitarian Universalist community. We should be in connection with our association and the larger community and be giving input if we want to, those kinds of things. I know I'm presenting this on a low attendance Sunday. The Sunday after Thanksgiving always is, but it's being recorded. And I'll have the text as well to share with others who are out of town. According to our bylaws, Article 2 should be re-examined and updated or replaced every 15 years, knowing that we are UUs and we evolve. But the last revision of our purposes, principles, and sources, which is Article 2 of the bylaws, was in 1987. We are way overdue. Since that time, various groups have suggested lots of revisions, many that were controversial. One example is changing the first principle to include all living beings. Another is adding an eighth principle. Also revisions for some others that seem to divide more than unifies. So the board realized that we needed to do this in a more deliberate manner and appointed a study commission with the charge that they examine the entire Article 2, get input from many groups, and prepare a draft that could be presented to the board at their January 2023 meeting. And this is the group, you see their pictures there, and I've added their names. This is the group that has been meeting. These 5 folks, Rob Spiro, Cheryl Walker are the co-chairs, Paula Cole-Jones, she's the one that came and visited us, Satya Mandana, and Maya Waller. They've been meeting with some UUA liaisons, Meg Riley, Kathy Burek, and Marcus Fogliano. I hope I pronounced those folks right. These folks, all very active in UUA and representing various groups and ages. As you can see, a couple of them are young folks. Met with the 3 liaisons from UUA and worked for 2 years on this. They had been encouraged to be creative in their efforts and decided to focus on primary values that we held. After receiving lots of input from various groups and doing their analysis with the help of the word clouds, like I showed you in an earlier message, and other programs, they proposed 7 values with love as the central value. They also revised other aspects of Article 2 to represent our evolving community, because they were charged with look at the whole Article 2. Now, I'm going to show you another slide. I've included the entire draft on the PowerPoint for us to read through together. And we can begin with the purposes of the association. Okay, so let's read that, starting with the Unitarian Universalists, and you can read with me or hear me, either way. The Unitarian Universalist Association shall devote its resources to and exercise its organizational powers for religious, educational, and humanitarian purposes. Its primary purposes are to equip congregations for vital ministry, to support and train leaders, both lay and professional, to heal historic inequities, and to advance our Unitarian Universalist values in the world. We will transform the world by our liberating love. And I'd like for you to note as we go through this whole document how often love comes up. It is central to all of it. Now, the next slide. There we go. Is this one. Oops, I'm sorry. One more. Then I got to come over to words. Okay. The next section looks at our values and how we covenant together to take actions related to these values. Although I say love to last, they begin. Maybe I ought to put it first if I knew they were going to begin with it, but I say to the last. They begin with this central value. So please join me and let's read about love. Love is the enduring force that holds us together. As Unitarian Universalists in religious community, we covenant congregation to congregation and through our association to support and assist each other in engaging our ministries. We draw from heritages of freedom and reason, hope and courage, building on the foundation of love. Love inspires and powers the passion with which we embody our values. Inseparable from one another, these shared values are, and then you have the image that we become familiar with love in the center. Next, each of the remaining 6 values are described along with the related covenanting statement. That's what they said. We're not just going to have the word values, but what do we do that we know that this is the value we have? So I preached one sermon on each one of these already. You can go back and look at. Let's start with justice. Justice. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all people thrive. We covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of oppression with individuals in our institutions. We are accountable to each other for this work. Next one is generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely share our faith, presence, and resources. Compassionate generosity connects us one to another in relationships of mutuality. Evolution. We adapt to the changing world. We covenant to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically. Evolution is fundamental to life and to our Unitarian Universalist heritages, never complete, never perfect, and never perfect. And then the next slide. Pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, theology, and experience. We covenant to learn from one another and openly explore the depth and breadth of our many wisdoms. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. Equity. We declare that every person has the right to flourish with dignity and worthiness. We covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain a fully inclusive and accessible community of communities. Interdependence. We honor the sacred interdependent web of all existence. With humility, we understand our place in the web. We covenant to care for and respect the earth and all beings by fostering relationships of mutuality. We work to repair the bonds we have broken. And then a section regarding our inspirations. Since many of us are inspired by many different possibilities, as you all know, I even preached a whole bunch of things inspired by Rod Serling's Twilight Zone episode. So we're inspired by so many different things. They made this section much more general than the sources we currently have in our bylaws. We can read this together. As Unitarian Universalists, we draw upon and are inspired by the full depth and breadth of sacred understandings as experienced by humanity. Grateful for the religious lineages we inherit and the pluralism which enriches our faith, we are called to ever deepen and expand our wisdom. The next section shares who we welcome, who is included. And it's about inclusion. Systems of power, privilege, and oppression have traditionally created barriers for persons and groups with particular identities, ages, abilities, and histories. We pledge to replace such barriers with ever-widening circles of solidarity and mutual respect. We strive to be an association of congregations that truly welcome all persons who share our values. We commit to structuring congregational and associational life in ways that empower and enhance everyone's participation. And then finally, there's a statement confirming the non-creedal nature of our faith. What holds us together is not a creed or belief system, but instead it's our values and our covenants. We are not a creedal faith, we are a covenantal faith. Let's read this together. Nothing herein shall be deemed to infringe upon the individual freedom of belief, which is inherent in the Unitarian Universalist heritages, or to conflict with any statement of purpose, covenant, or bond of union used by any congregation, unless such is used as a creedal test. So congregations, like we've formed a covenant, a behavioral covenant, how we're going to be with one another. Each congregation can do other things as well, but it doesn't need to be a creedal test that you have to believe this or you can't be a part of us. Belief kind of system. Let's see, where was it? In expressing our beliefs, we do so in the spirit of love in ways that further the beloved community. So as you know, in this little congregation, we have people with many very different beliefs. And we can express those and feel free to do so. And we listen and express them in the spirit of love in ways that further beloved community. Now, let me get to another slide. Now, we can talk more about the draft later. You may have questions and want to know more about it, we can do that. But my remaining time here, I do want to focus on the center of our faith, and that is love. Some folks don't like that term, but to them I say, translate. This is not romantic love. This is love in action, taking care of ourselves, our communities, and the world with compassion, caring, understanding, and more. If you've been with us for a while, you may know that UU's adopted the theme of standing on the side of love. You see on my stole here, it's standing on the side of love, led initially by those working for marriage equality. Then we expanded the idea and adopted those bold yellow shirts, this color, t-shirts, bold yellow shirts to wear to various demonstrations, standing on the side of love for all kinds of needs in this world. Later, wanting to widen the circle more, we changed to what it says on my mask, side with love. And there's a story that goes with that. So when I went to General Assembly in June, I purchased a side with love t-shirt that I could wear, not just to demonstrations or protests, but everywhere. I choose to try to side with love. A couple of weeks ago, I was sitting outside of a restaurant at St. Simon's that I like. Greg had already come back to Statesboro, but I had meetings and more that kept me in Glenn County. When the server came up as I completed my meal, I had my credit card ready to pay for my large spinach salad and water. And she said, "You can put that back. Someone has already paid for your dinner." Oh. And I thought, why would someone anonymously pay for my dinner? And I'm ashamed to admit, I also thought I should have ordered more. Then I realized I had that Side with Love shirt on. Yeah. And someone appreciated that or recognized the movement that it stood for. People want us to side with love. Actually, need desperately for us to side with love. And we need it as well. Many years ago, some Christians wore bracelets that had, y'all remember what I had said? WWJD, yeah, on them to remind them, what would Jesus do? I wish they'd begin wearing those and thinking about that again. Because in general, Jesus sided with love. He was there for the oppressed, the sick, the hungry, and more. Now, I do not identify as a Christian, though I'm inspired by many, not all, of their scriptures. So I probably won't ask that question of myself. But I certainly want to ask myself often, what is the loving thing to do? Now, that doesn't always mean saying yes to various requests. Sometimes love means saying no, and all of us could give examples. I do like the song in our hymnal, though, that y'all are going to sing at my memorial service that ends with the line, if they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love. Reverend Tom Belote asks, if you've ever sided with love, what motivated you? What inspired you? What swelled up within you and gave you the moral clarity and discernment to side with love? Can we side with love rather than being a detached observer of love? Can we side with love rather than having a discussion group about love? That's what the Article 2 Study Commission is trying to sway us to think about. Not just what our values are, but what are we committing ourselves to do? And that's why each of those, including the central core value of love, has a covenant statement that goes with it. There is another song in our hymnal about love that inspires me. It says, y'all can sing it if you know this chorus. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard line. May it be so. That's my message for today.